Well, hello again, guys. Welcome back. And guess what? It is science time. Let's start the class with a game. You need to guess what I'm thinking about. And let me tell you, I'm thinking about a movie. In this movie, a secondary character that is a saber-toothed squirrel. Do you remember where did you see that word? In your vocabulary lesson, right? Are you studying for the spelling? Okay, this saber-toothed squirrel is responsible of events like the Pangea. Okay, in the movie also appear mammoths, a sloth, and a saber-toothed tiger. Another word for the spelling. Can you spell it? Alright, why I'm mentioning this, it's because it is related to the topic that we're going to study today. But I'm not going to speak about the movie. I'm going to speak about the event that is called Ice Age. But let's learn about it. I made a presentation for you, so please pay attention.
The Ice Age. Let's start defining what is an Ice Age. An ice age is a period when for a long time the temperature of Earth's climate is very low. This leads to an expansion of the continental ice sheets, polar ice sheets, and mountain glaciers. During ice ages, the sea level drops as water is held in the great ice sheets at the poles. How much it drops depends on several factors such as the length of time that a cold period lasts. Stages. Within an ice age, there are stages. The longer cold stages are called glacials or glacial periods. The shorter warm periods are called interglacials. The last glacial ended about 11,000 years ago. When the present interglacial started, it is called the Great Ice Age. The Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets still exist. The Great Ice Age. During this ice age, over a third of the Earth was covered in ice. The Earth had less carbon dioxide in it. Can you imagine? Let's think about it. What caused the reduction of carbon dioxide?
Okay, let's make a pause right here. Do you remember when we revised the 7 life processes of living things? We mentioned the respiration, right? Do you remember when we inhale, we breathe in oxygen, but when we exhale, we breathe carbon dioxide, right? We breathe out carbon dioxide. Breathe in oxygen. Breathe out carbon dioxide.
I'm gonna give you a clue. What happens if the level of carbon dioxide reduces considerably? In the absence of CO2 or carbon dioxide, we would not have plants and trees as we know it. And if there are no trees, that would mean the lack of oxygen, disabling our ability to breathe freely. When sunlight is received into Earth's atmosphere, CO2 absorbs the heat and keeps the planet warm. So, carbon dioxide is a gas, and it can dissolve in water as well get into the ocean from the atmosphere. Animals and humans exhale carbon dioxide. Plants absorb carbon dioxide. Since everything was frozen, there was a lack of CO2. When the Earth began warming up after the last ice age, glaciers were left behind. The ice would begin to melt and then refreeze. This process went for millions of years. Think about the movie Ice Age, in which scene you can observe the ice sheets melting. Is it this? About 10,000 years ago, the Earth began to warm up and the ice started to melt. As the ice melted, it left lakes and valleys with a mixture of rocks and soil. The only ice that was left was up high in the mountain. The glaciers that exist today are what is left over from the last ice age.
Well, do you remember when we studied climate and weather? Can you remember the difference between those terms? Okay, climate are permanent conditions and weather changes day by day, right? Okay, why I'm mentioning this? It is because the presentation said that there are still remaining of ice in the mountains. And this is because the climate in the height of the mountain is colder than points that are lower, right? Okay, that way we can find ice in the mountains, like in volcanoes or very high mountains.
In which parts of the year we can find major amounts of ice? We can see here the Antarctic and the Arctic, but where are those sites located? Yes, in the poles, northern and southern. Let's watch a video.
Well, now let's watch a video. Pay attention.
Roll the horn! The Ice Age. It's fairly easy to say what the climate is like in any particular part of the world. It's cold at the North and South Poles, the extremes. Then it gets mild as you move away, until ending up very hot at the equator, in the middle. If the Earth were a person, it would have a very cold head and feet, and a very hot stomach. But about 20,000 years ago, the Earth's climate wasn't like this. It was very, very cold everywhere. Half the planet was covered in snow and ice. Conditions were very hard. Only the best prepared were able to survive. Like the big, hairy mammoths. People and animals moved large distances in search of a milder climate. Imagine if the ice caps at the poles extended today as far as cities like New York, Paris, Tokyo, Sydney, Buenos Aires, or Moscow. Except that, of course, in Moscow it tends to be pretty cold in winter already. Imagine if there was never any warm weather, and that in the summer you had to go to the beach wearing a hat and scarf and stare out at a frozen sea. And that in winter you had to go to school wearing 2 hats and 2 scarves, because it was even colder than in summer. Well, that's what the weather was like during the Ice Age, 20,000 years ago. Back when New York didn't exist, nor Paris, Tokyo, Sydney, Buenos Aires, and certainly not Moscow. Scientists say there have been several cold periods in the Earth's history, and that they repeat every 40,000 years. The Earth cools down because of variations in its degree of inclination towards the sun, and the sun's rays don't heat it up so much anymore. They also say that pollution heats up the Earth's surface and produces more evaporation. The clouds then prevent the heat of the sun from reaching the surface. And the result is a very quick cooling down in just 20 years. So we've either got to stop polluting the planet, or else start stocking up on more scarves.
Guess what? I found 2 friends. Look. This is one. And this is 2. Okay. One of my friends lives in the North Pole, and another one lives in the South Pole. Tell me in a message which one belongs to which pole, alright? And then for your evidences, you have to make a mind map saying what you learned, the main points of all the topics that we studied today. Alright? I hope to see it very soon. Bye bye.